Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together with our distribution partners on a daily basis, most weekdays, Monday through Fridays at 8 o'clock Central here on this Zoom webinar, and we'll convert this into a YouTube for those that couldn't join us live. Our purpose of getting together is to talk about strategy, share success stories, discuss tactics, and provide resources to support each of you. With that being said, today's topic is going to be a deeper dive into the Express Business Startup Package. We've made an introduction to this previously, but want to dig a little bit deeper, make sure you understand what's included, but most importantly, go through and talk about some strategies of how you can generate income by helping start new businesses. So let me make this flyer a bit larger. I sent this flyer out to everyone this morning. And so of course you can edit it with your own call to action at the bottom, but let's make it larger so we can break it down, talk about the content, answer questions. And again, what we're going to get to is talking about some outreach strategies to be able to generate income for you. So appropriately called the Express Business Startup Package. Express because it's fast, business because we're helping start up businesses, of course. We do want to bring attention to the fact that it is grant subsidized. It would not be this low price if we didn't have the grant allocation for it. But it's a grant subsidized turnkey resource to form new businesses positioned for fast funding. So keep in mind that this is the setup of the business. This is not the capital raise program, which you and I commonly refer to as access to capital. So many, probably most clients that participate in the startup package will move on to access to capital, but there's no requirement to do that. And it's frankly a separate program. So we want to address the who and the how much right off the bat, because we know that's what is most relevant to most individuals. Does it apply to me? Well, this is a program for entrepreneurs looking to form a new business that is well positioned for fast funding through the program. What we'll do is we'll get their business formed very quickly, and then we clarify it's an optional available resource, which you and I know is referring to access to capital, to help them access a minimum, guaranteed minimum of $100,000 to start and grow that new business. And then our little credibility statement, which is of course true, that this was developed with the input of former SBDC, SBA advisors and SCORE mentors. It's a turnkey package that is that's convenient and affordable, provided what's needed to be positioned for funding. So, but essentially, who? Anyone looking to start a new business. Now, maybe they already own a business. Could they participate? Well, sure, but we would be starting a new business, an additional business. I guess they call that serial entrepreneurialism. Most successful entrepreneurs will have multiple projects, multiple businesses going. Elon Musk, of course, he's on a much larger scale than the rest of us, but he has Tesla and he has SpaceX and he has other ventures. I think people that are pessimists will try to find fault with everything. Oh, well, you run multiple businesses. Yeah, most successful people do. It's called diversification. Then we get to the cost. Is there a cost? Is this free? It's not free. Is it grant subsidized? It certainly is. And it's a one-time fee of $249.99. Keep in mind, you have this flyer. You can change that price to any price that you want. Anything above $249 is your profit. So you could change that to $349. And now you just made it easy $100. Some of you, I think it's Alfred, he's adding a 1 in front of it. So he's making it $1,249.99. Well, then Alfred makes it easy $1,000 a pop. That is up to you, how you want to mark it up. And again, we provided you the flyer this morning. If you don't have it, let us know and we can get it to you, but you should have it. All right, so let's get down to the bottom where we get more into the meat of the program. The Grant-Subsidized Express Business Startup Package provides an affordable and effective solution for early-stage businesses to meet important credibility factors to access capital. Just yesterday, we were talking about the 27 mistakes, those most frequent mistakes that entrepreneurs make that prevent them from being able to get funding. Well, this startup package addresses a good number of those, including having a legitimate, unique commercial address. I was talking to Ryan yesterday. Ryan is not a white label partner, but he's a client. He's in Florida, and him and his family moved from, I think it was Nevada to Florida. So he has a few issues as we're getting ready to get his file ready for funding, one of which is he doesn't have a true commercial address, which makes him less credible. Plus, there's different addresses floating out there, and he has access to an address to use, but it's not a unique commercial address. And so what you and I offer right here overcomes one of the primary obstacles that most small businesses have of looking credible, which is they're lacking what? And there's two key descriptors: a commercial address, which is not a post office box, it's not a virtual address, it's not a residential address, and it's a unique address. It's brick and mortar, it's a unique suite number. So those are important attributes to look as credible as we can on paper. So once there's an enrollment, then we assign the unique address. And so let's take Tamika, for example. Last evening, Tamika signed up. So already this morning, she has her unique address. It's already been sent to her. So she has that now in place. And then the second step then is once we have the address, then we move forward in getting that business formed with the Secretary of State. Well, for us to do that, we needed to ask Tamika, what do you want the name of your business to be? So on our onboarding email that goes out to these participants, it says, congratulations, here's your new unique address. Also reply back, we need to know exactly the name that you want filed with the Secretary of State. So then we'll do that filing for Tamika. The grant covers the filing fees. So obviously, we're not absorbing the filing fees in this very nominal amount, nor are we passing the filing fees off to the client. The grant covers that. And then once we have the address, we have the filing with the Secretary of State, then we go ahead and go get the EIN. So now we're ready to be open for business. So we answer 4 reasons why someone should enroll in the Express Startup Package. Well, obviously improve legitimacy with a true unique commercial address. It is going to increase their access to capital. They'll qualify geographically for the Chapman Fund, which we'll talk more about in a moment. And then they're able to get the grant subsidy. So the grant is paying for their state filing fees, so they don't have to. All right, so what's included? So it's pretty straightforward. And again, this was designed to not overlap with the access to capital. So as you'll see, as we start talking about marketing strategies and outreach strategies, this is a great place to start because it's something that people can understand. Yeah, I do need a true commercial address. I don't want to use my home address. And I've heard post office boxes are not good to use. Those are true statements. So we're solving the problem very affordably for them. They're going to pay you whatever amount that it is that you want to charge them. You keep everything above $249. Now, again, we see all kinds of pricing strategies, and there's a number of you on today. Some of you are marking this up, like I think it was Alfred that's going up, putting a 1 in front of it. Some of you are offering it no markup just to be able to get the client relationship and move them into access to capital. And there's a handful of you that are giving this away, literally not charging the client anything because of other services that you offer, whether it be selling insurance or CPA services, merchant card services, so forth. That's up to you. But what's included? We're going to provide them a unique business commercial address. It is not a virtual office address, and they'll have mail forwarding. We're going to do the filing with the Secretary of State and help them get their EIN. And then what's a really unique differentiator is access to the Chapman Fund. The Chapman Fund is a source of capital to start businesses that comes from a taxing authority. And that's important to understand. So you have to have a business within that tax district, or you can't access the Chapman Fund. Of course, we're setting up businesses that are within the taxing district of the Chapman Fund. It provides up to $250,000, can be used for a variety of purposes, can be used in conjunction with other loans, lots of benefits, and we don't have to go qualify and apply for bank financing for the Chapman Fund. So that's a restatement of, let me make it smaller so we can see it, of what's in it. But primarily today, what we wanted to discuss is how you can leverage this to help start new businesses and frankly, make money for yourself. So we've covered the comp model. It's painfully simple, right? Anything that you charge the client above $249 is your profit, right? So I don't think there's could be any question about that. It's just that simple. But from a strategy perspective, we can identify home-based businesses. You can use what used to be called Sales Genie, Data Axle, Reference USA. All of those represent that same database. You can typically get access to that database for free through your local library. You'll be able to typically log on to that database from your own home or office, accessing through the library's portal for free. And you can run queries. You can run a query very simply, and the librarian can show you how to do it. We've done trainings on it, but the librarian can show you how to identify recently filed DBAs or assumed names. You can find home-based businesses. Either of those would be good predictors that they would be a good candidate for this. Again, with kind of this two-step process, let's help them get their business set up correctly. Step one, which is what we're looking at on the screen. And then step two is move them into the access to capital. No upfront cost, $100,000 guarantee. And you're making on average around $12,500 for each client that you take through the access to capital. So can you make some money off of this? If you want to mark it up, you can, and that's at your discretion. But can you use this as the entry point to pivot over into access to capital and generate a lot of income? Absolutely. Yesterday on training, we talked about the 27 mistakes. That PowerPoint deck is in your white label Dropbox, so you can conduct webinars, live workshops, work with referral sources. However, this is a great next step for those individuals that you've educated. So I'm not saying that you have to go do a workshop to enroll someone in this, not at all. But I am describing that this is a very good next step for early stage businesses. Now, if you're interfacing with a business that already has their entity formed, then this is not a very good fit unless they're looking at maybe forming a new entity specifically for the capital raise or for a different project. Okay, Paulie has his first question. So what we want to start doing is taking your questions, getting your feedback, because I believe that this is a great low price offering to take out to the marketplace. It's easy to understand, it's credible, it's needed. Bring them into this as an initial step, and then we should be able to pivot to the access to capital very easily, because why in the world wouldn't they want to proceed and get at least $100,000 guaranteed to grow that new business that you and I help them create? Okay, but let's get to Paulie's question. So Paulie went in a different order. Paulie has an EIN for a business, but it's not filed with the Secretary of State, nor does Paulie have a unique commercial address. So really all Paulie has is an EIN. And we see this frequently. Because, and again, for just complete transparency, even if someone didn't want to use this program, when I worked at the SBA, for example, just to create complete validity, the order of steps to start a new business should be: number one, have a commercial address; number two, file with the Secretary of State; number three, then get the EIN. So many people, for whatever reason, they muck up that order. And if you don't have the address and you file with Secretary of State, then you got to go chase and go clean up. If you start with the EIN for a business that doesn't even exist, to me, that's mesmerized. I don't know why you would do that. So in your case, Polly, yes, if I were you, I would enroll and we can go through this process, because just because you have an EIN hanging out there doesn't really mean that you have an entity, and certainly it's not positioned to raise capital. So Polly's not unique in the sense that you'll run into people that have some hodgepodge of a business partially set up. So what do? You can say, hey, I don't know about cleaning up all that mess, but if you'd like, you can enroll in the startup package. We can do it right and then move forward to funding. That's what I would do. I wouldn't get involved in the cleanup business. It is messy. For example, when you file with the Secretary of State, that becomes public record. And so then organizations and entities like Dun & Bradstreet find out about that. Dun & Bradstreet then creates a profile. So now the profile is created off of a bad address, a non-commercial address, a non-unique address. And so then now we don't just have to correct it with the Secretary of State when we change addresses and get a real address. Now we also have to go chase our tail and go get it fixed with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, Equifax Business. It's just, to me, it's not worth it. If we have something that's all bungled up, I'd hit the reset button and I would start an entity that's set up properly. It's quicker, it's easier, it's cheaper to reset and start a new business that's set up properly than spending the time and energy and incurring the frustration to go clean up an entity that really never operated, but its records are mucked up. That's our opinion. All right, so who else has questions on what this is? I think what it is painfully simple. Why it's needed is incredibly relevant, right? A business should be set up properly in all cases. And if you're trying to raise capital, having a business that's set up properly is crucial, or we probably won't be successful in getting business funding. And then lastly, this is a great way for you to help create new businesses, start up new businesses. And so when you look at it from that perspective, who is your target market for this? Well, it certainly could be current entrepreneurs that's looking to start a new project or just get clean records. So that could be one target audience, certainly. But another one, which is the point I'm trying to get to, is now the entire US population is your target audience, adults, those over 18, because who doesn't have an inclination or an idea that they'd like to give a try, to be able, maybe it's a side gig for them, maybe it's a secondary income, maybe they want to start something to replace their full-time income. You have people that are disabled that are not able to go to work. You have felons that are not able to often get gainful employment. So when you look at the entire spread of who would like to own their own business, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the capital to do so. Now going into churches and apartment complexes and community centers to be able to be the white knight, right? Ride in on the white horse and be able to help individuals pursue a dream, to start a business. And starting a business literally begins with having the proper setup. Get them set up on this. Mark it up however you want, as much or as little as you want, or as some of you are doing, giving it away. And then at that point, then should be very easy to pivot them over into the access to capital. The access to capital is going to give them the guaranteed 100,000, and it should put about 12,500 gross income in your pocket. So who has questions on the strategy of why it exists, or what it is, or how it works? Who has questions, comments, concerns on the model? So do you have to take this out to the marketplace? Absolutely not. If you bring us a client into access to capital and we see that they have no business structure in place, we're going to recommend this, right? Because they need to have a business structure. So theoretically, you could go to the marketplace with access to capital, and then we'll identify during the setup phase that they're a good candidate for this. So that's fine. So we kind of do step 2 before step 1, because step 2, access to capital, will help us identify who is a good candidate for this. So that's one option. The other option is to flip it around and then take this as one of your campaigns out to the marketplace. Look to help start new businesses, to create new businesses. I think you can get a lot of momentum behind that. A lot of faith-based leaders will be willing to work with you on this. And you could start doing workshops if you want, or webinars, or just simply promote it. And this is a great price point that I truly believe is unmatched. Of course, access to the Chapman Fund is icing on the cake. All right, so with all that said, who has questions, comments, concerns on what we've covered today? Because again, I appreciate you joining the live Zoom or listening to the YouTube afterwards, but if we don't execute, we don't apply these strategies, then you're not going to generate the income that you're looking to generate. All right, so Jeremy's asking a good question. Does this count towards the white label partner goal of 8 a month? And the answer is yes. Yeah. So if you enrolled someone in the Express Business Startup Package, that counts as that one of those 8 that we're looking for you to do, 8 clients to develop a month. Okay. Andrea is asking on the Chapman Fund. And so there's a fair amount of information here. Andrea, you'd have to almost ask me a specific question to let me know what it is that you're looking for that we didn't answer. But I'll presume what Andrea is asking is, can someone sign up for the Express Business Startup Package, not enroll in access to capital, which is inferred here, and can they go apply for the Chapman Fund for the $250,000? Yes, that is true. There's not a prerequisite that someone has to enroll in access to capital to be able to pursue the Chapman Fund. So Andrea, hopefully I inferred your question properly. All right, so what do you think? I'm looking for feedback. So is this something that you plan on taking to the marketplace? Not going to hurt my feelings one way or the other, but Alfred and Andrea, Bernard, Charles, Collis, Frankie, Jeanette, Jeremy, Jose, Lynette, Paulie, Sonia, Warren, we've got 214 people on here, but I'm just curious, is this a campaign that you feel comfortable enough in and confident enough in that you can take out to the marketplace? Is this going to help you generate your income through the end of the month of September and into October? Or is this something that doesn't make sense to you? Does it not make sense why a real address is important to lenders? Does it not make sense that you want to help people become credible enough to get business funding? Because either the answer is yes, you'd want to take this out to the marketplace, or no, you don't understand, and that's my fault. All right, so Timothy's asking, can he get a landing page off of this? Yeah, that's a good point. You can certainly work on your own, of course, or get with Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, and he can set up a landing page for you for this. So it would be branded specifically to this. You would be able to drive people. So instead of changing this to your email address, you would put in your landing page. And so then people would just go to your landing page. Scott will have a page that just summarizes this. And then there is a link for them to be able to pay. And they would just right there, just pay you, just like an e-commerce transaction. You, of course, would set the pricing as you want. You can pull an Alfred and put a 1 in front of it. You could leave it at $249. You could mark it up a little or a lot. You could reduce the price if you wanted to subsidize it. That would be up to you. But yes, I do agree, Timothy, that this would be very well suited for an automated sequence that generates money for you really just as an e-commerce transaction. Absolutely. So do you have to do an online sign up? No, you don't have to, but if you wanted to. Timothy's hitting me back. Does he need to put terms and conditions online? No, you really just need basically to communicate this and collect the money from the client. It's very straightforward. It's not as complicated as access to capital, where clients need to review and accept terms and conditions. So Timothy, thanks for pointing that out. No, you could just set up a online shopping cart, have this as a brief description, have a way to accept payment from your link from your shopping cart, and be off and going. That's a great point. Frankie says she loves this idea. She definitely plans to add it to her arsenal. Makes a lot of sense. Yep, you're welcome, Frankie. So who else has questions? Let's step back and close at a strategic level. What is it that you and I do as technical advisors? We help small businesses do three things: build financial literacy, build lender compliant loan packages, and become credible enough to access capital. There's different elements of credibility, isn't there? There is certainly credit, capacity, collateral, and frankly, location is one of those. What you and I have is an exceptional arrow in our quiver to help people qualify for non-bank financing. Granted, only up to $250,000, so they're not going to go get millions of dollars off the Chapman Fund, but we can provide them a package that is, I think, pretty easily understood at a very low price. Again, you determine the price. You know you're going to send us $249. You mark it up as you would like, if you'd like. But it's very simple. You don't have to worry about terms and conditions. You don't have to have them sign some contract. It's very straightforward, the value proposition. So if you're a good business developer, a good marketer, which I suspect you are, or you wouldn't be in this role, this is a powerful proposition to take out. You can decide to add this as a new campaign and try to reach out to essentially prospective entrepreneurs. And I'm excited about that. I like going out to the marketplace and helping the audience that no one else is wanting to help, which are really the pre-formation businesses. But also this can apply to existing businesses. If they don't have their setup in order, then they could plug into this, kind of hit the reset button. And we see that often. People that have set up businesses that have been inactive, they're not set up properly, like the Ryan example earlier. All right, so Jeremy asked about phone number. And so Jeremy's right. On the 27 mistake training video, every business should have a business phone number. That is not part of this value proposition, but we can help them get a business phone number and get it listed with directory assistance. But of course, they need the address first, right? Because the business phone number needs to be listed to directory assistance tied to a specific address. But you're right, Jeremy. The phone number, website, email accounts, that's not part of this value proposition here. But those are important elements of being credible that we can help them with, give them referrals to, but that's not what's included here. And then I guess we have a question or two about the Chapman Fund. So yes, let me be more direct. So the Chapman Fund is from a taxing authority. You have to be in their taxing authority district to access it. That's what you and I do, Carlos, is you and I set up businesses. So their unique commercial address is in fact in the geographic area for the Chapman Fund. So yes, it's location dependent. And that's what you and I are doing, is giving them unique commercial addresses that meet all these other value proposition points, plus then they're in the right geographic area for the Chapman Fund. All right, well, I think we've covered it. So you have this flyer. I sent it out to you this morning. We've discussed it again. You understand the pricing model. You control the pricing model. You're going to submit in the 249 to us. You can mark that up as much or as little as you want, or you could even give it away for free if you wanted to subsidize it. You control the pricing, but essentially we just need from you the client's name, email, and of course submit our portion, and then we can implement the client. There's no implementation responsibilities for you all. All right, well, we're off and running. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.